everybody. Welcome back to The Secret Place. I'm Stephanie Bennett, and we are talking today about this book, Relationships on the Run, How to Grow Authentic Connections and Lasting Intimacy in a Hurried Culture. Do you feel hurried in your life? Is your life super paced and just running around all over the place? If that describes you, you are one of the many, and might even say one of the most of people in this country right now. The pace is just kicked up like incredibly, especially with ChatGPT and artificial intelligence just making our lives, I don't want to say easier, but I'm talking to a lot of people in business and a lot of people who are using these tools that something would take them 3 weeks to compile. It takes their agentic help like 5 minutes. So that really quickens the pace in our life. Whatever else it does, it quickens the pace in our life. Today, we're reading a little excerpt from chapter 4 in this book, and this chapter is called Listening to Love. I'm starting with a scripture from James 1:19 from the NIV, which James says, "Brothers, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." Boy, when we don't listen, all hell can break loose, can it? I mean, when we just don't listen to what someone is saying, or they're not listening to us, it just is, it's a relationship killer. It really breaks down communication and it becomes very hurtful. The little story that I have here at the beginning talks about a situation about 35 years ago in my own life where a pastor that we had, which I never talk about in public, but I'm going to say this today. A pastor that we had just did not listen and wouldn't listen to anybody, wouldn't listen to us. We were part of the leadership of the church. The church was clamoring for some change, and he just wouldn't listen. And we tried to approach him, but he already had his preconceived ideas that he was the oracle of God and he was going to do what he was going to do. And anybody who questioned that and said, like, maybe we should go a different route was disloyal. It was just a terrible thing. And so what do we do if we want to maintain relationships with someone or people in general that don't listen? They just don't listen. Well, that's your call. There's not obviously a one answer, one size fits all answer, but sometimes it's important that we don't listen. I know, yeah, I said that, even though listening is the heart of communication, is the foundation of communication. Sometimes it's important that we don't listen when what someone is saying is wrong. It's important that we stand up and we contest it. You can speak the truth in love, but it's important that we contest it. And if they still won't listen and they're wrong, we may have to walk out of their life. I want to read this little passage to you. It's called Listening, the Heart of Communication. Listening is the heart of communication. All good and true relationships with God and with others, even ourselves, are anchored in open-hearted listening. While listening begins with proper auditory function, that's just the start. Our ears allow us to hear another's voice, but unless we're intentional about quieting the external and the internal noise, we'll always be battling personal destruction. To listen well, we need to attend to what's being said, then interpret it and even recall it. Each of these elements is important, but even when we practice and determine to listen more carefully, our communication is blocked by our busyness, the busyness of our own plans. I'm going to quote something here from Professor and author Paul Sukup that reminds us of what happened to Peter on the Mount of Transfiguration. Dr. Sukup says, here his communication behavior seems so natural and on reflection so wrong. He begins describing, planning, speaking almost as if he doesn't know what he says. And finally, God has to interrupt him to get a word in edgewise. And he says, "This is my son, my beloved. Listen to him." I like that, and that's why I wanted to read it to you. How often do we look at that picture from Scripture and ever think that can you imagine? It's like God had to interrupt Peter with all his thoughts and questions and configurations just to say, listen to him. And I think if we quiet ourselves enough, we can hear the Lord say that to us too. Listen, this is my beloved son. Listen to him. Listen to him. I love to transfer that idea to the people in my life. Let's say my husband, what the Lord saying to me, this is my beloved son. He's not the son of God. He's not the son of man, but this is my beloved son. Would you listen to him? It's not really far-fetched to think that way. The Christ in you and Christ in me wants to look for the Christ in each other. And sometimes we can think we maybe we don't even think we know it all, but we think we know better. And that is a kind of internal noise that blocks out our hearing, or blocks out our ability to really understand and listen to what the other is saying. And that is a relationship killer. So we want to make sure that we don't do that. Listening is it's an action, and it requires skill, practice, and especially a good attitude. It requires an open-hearted mindset. Just because you listen to someone doesn't mean you agree with them, but listen to understand, to hear what is being said, and to hear what is unspoken in that as well. There's so much in this chapter about listening and the practical aspects of it. I'm going to wait until next week to dive in a little bit further into this chapter on listening. In the meantime, I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I'm so glad that you showed up. I'd love to hear what you think about listening, and if you think it's as important as I do. Have a great week. God bless you, friends. Bye-bye.